Hey, we're Minnesota Implement, and I am assembling a unit here that has to go out. Of course, 11th hour assembly here. But this is one of our utility tractor tree pullers. So we've got as many varieties of these tree pullers as there are flavors of ice cream. But this is becoming more common of one of the ones that we're building. So it's got the skid steer faceplate on it, and the standard 8-inch by 8-inch jaw, and the protected cylinder. So it's part of our heavy-duty family of skid steer puller per se. But if you notice, the jaws are centered on the unit, and the thing also has 3-point mount built into the faceplate. That's because this is for a utility tractor. So while it's skid steer mount and it's skid steer design, we build these for the utility tractor with the jaws centered and the full carriage rail system moved down towards the bottom of the unit. Now it's sitting on blocks right now so that I can palletize it easily, but you'll notice the rails are sitting only a couple inches off the ground, whereas on our skid steer proper ones, the rails are centered, because on a skid steer, you can tip the jaws down and stuff them in the dirt pretty easy by tipping your bucket tip. And on the front of a utility tractor, you could do the same, but you'll lose sight of the unit as you do so. As you tip it down, your loader frame and hood get in the way, so you can't see it as easily. And when it's on the rear of the tractor, you don't have the option of tipping it unless you've got the hydraulic third link on your 3-point. So by moving the rail to the bottom of the faceplate, it makes it easier to get a hold of a short stump or stick the thing down in the dirt to get a hold of your stump. But like I say, we build them so that they'll go on the skid steer mount and the 3-point. Now, if you look at a bunch of our other videos, you'll see that for the John Deere, we can do for the fast hitch on the rear for the 3-point as well. On skid steer, unfortunately, because these top ears and bottom ears impede the fast hitch system, it doesn't work as well. We can put the fast hitch in there, and if you've got proper clearances, it might work for you. But because of the way the faceplate sits on there, often the skid steer faceplate itself is an impediment to the fast hitch working. But you can still put your 3-point links directly to those 3 points. So you just have to drop your fast hitch off and put your arms directly to the unit, and then clearances are real good. It also makes for a little more compact of a unit than it is with the fast hitch in there. So we can build whichever design you want, either for the arms to go directly to it like this, or with the fast hitch in it. It's just more common on skid steer mount to do it with the arms going directly to it. But as I had mentioned, this is utility tractor design, so we moved the jaws centered on the unit rather than offset like they are on the skid steer. The reason for that primarily is the fact that on a utility tractor with your walking beam front axle, or your front axle having a hinge pin on it so that it can toggle, as you lift a lot of weight, let's say if your machine has a 2,000-pound lift and you don't have counterbalance on the back or ballast boxes or fluid-filled tires, the rear tires of the machine will lift off the ground a bit. It transfers all that weight onto your front axle. And if this jaw was off to one side, like it is on the skid steer ones, it causes the tractor to kind of lurch and tip towards that side. So we deliberately move the jaws centered so that it's in line with that wrist pin on your front axle, so you don't get that tipping or lurching effect. It also allows you to see the jaws easier over the hood, because you don't have to be looking, especially if you're right-handed and you tend to lean over the right side of the machine. If the jaws were all the way to the left, you're going to have trouble seeing them. But then, as you see also on the utility tractor ones, the cylinder is on the utility standard side. So as you are sitting on your machine, typically on a utility tractor, your hydraulics go up the right side of the machine. Whereas on a skid steer, the cylinder is on the other side. It's on the left side, because all of your hydraulics typically on a skid steer are on the left. Obviously, once in a while you've got an oddball. Some of the John Deeres put the hydraulics right down the center of the machine. Some of the ASV skid steers have the hydraulics in the center. But as a rule of thumb, the most utility tractors have the hydraulics running down the right side of the loader frame, and most skid steers have it on the left side. So by building these specifically for utility tractor, we can move everything to the proper side so it will function better on the utility tractor, rather than just being kind of an awkward adaptation of a skid steer design. So anyways, long-winded, but lots of information. We are Minnesota Implement. This is one of our heavy-duty utility tractor skid steer mount buckthorn pullers, which also has the 3-point mount in it. And our standard duty utility tractor one and our heavy duty utility tractor one will look very, very similar. Most people won't be able to tell a difference. The main difference is whether all of this framework and tubing is made out of 3/16 box tube or made out of quarter box tube. When you get into our Super Duty line, that will look completely different even for a utility tractor. But anyways, we're Minnesota Implement. I'm kind of rambling because I'm overly tired, overworked, and underpaid. But please check out my 100 and some odd random videos of other equipment that we build. And please let us know if you need any attachments for utility tractors or skid steers. Thank you.